the subject is called OLG 111, with the title Principles of Human Resource Management. Today we are in knowledge area 3, where we will discuss two main subtopics, which are performance appraisal and the employee compensation and management. Just a summary. As for more detailed lecture notes, you may find it in your Moodle account, where you get much deep notes and relevant examples. So by starting, we'll start with performance appraisal. First of all, we have to know the meaning of performance appraisal. What does it mean maybe in an organization, related field, and so forth. Most of the people tend to mix or to use synonymously. So by starting this subject, you have to understand the meaning of performance appraisal. As we know that most of the candidates tend to use or to mix these words, performance appraisal and performance management, and most of them are just using synonymously or interchanging the meaning of these words. But performance appraisal and performance management are two quite different technologies. So first of all, we have to define what the meaning of performance appraisal. What does it imply in a management context? So performance appraisal simply can be defined as the process of evaluating the performance of an individual in relation or against the expected standards or goals which have been established by management. So performance appraisal is normally evaluate or measures the actual performance of an employee in relation or toward the goals which have been established by a management of that organization. So the term performance appraisal normally implies a systematic approach to evaluation which is agreed upon in advance and takes place at regular intervals. So the appraisal system it can take maybe an interval, maybe annually or semi-annually, and so forth. So after defining the meaning of performance appraisal, let us now check the purposes or objectives of a performance appraisal. Why performance appraisal is so important to an organization? First of all, performance appraisal normally gives an employee the opportunity to discuss the performance targets and standards with his or her supervisor. Through performance appraisal, it's where an employee and employers came into the table to discuss the performance targets, performance criteria, qualities of outputs, and so forth. So this one maybe it can now even communication in an organization to be easier between the supervisor and the supervisor. Also, performance appraisal normally provides the superior or supervisor with a means to identify the strengths and weaknesses of an employee. Through the discussions in terms of performances between an employee and employer, is where a supervisor can determine and can learn various weaknesses, even strengths of an employee. But also, performance appraisal normally provides a format that enabling the supervisors to recommend a specific program towards an employee. It can be either a training program, any kind of training which is related to the performance of an employee can be recommended through only the exercise of performance appraisal. But also it can provide a basis for salary recommendations based on your performance. Performance-related payments can be originated from this process of performance appraisal. But also performance appraisal is very important, maybe on issues of promotion. For an employee to get a relevant and fair promotion in his or her work, it's very important to conduct the process of performance appraisal fairly and timely. But also, for those employees who are performing under probation period, the process of performance appraisal, the activity of performance appraisal, can be a blueprint where they can get their confirmation. For example, for those civil workers who are working in a government during probational time, they can use a performance appraisal to get their promotion letter or confirmation letter. But also performance appraisal is a basis for HRP, as we discussed in knowledge area 1 and 2 concerning human resource planning. The issue of human resource planning, it can originate even in a performance appraisal process. So performance appraisal is an activity of great vital in the operation of any organization. But also performance appraisal, it can be a basis for judging whether the organization recruited the right person for its job. So performance appraisal, it can confirm whether your organization or management have succeeded in the process of recruitment and selection. So without evaluating the performance of an individual, you can't be in a position to judge whether the candidate was right or wrong during recruitment and selection process. So performance appraisal is where we can confirm the effectiveness of recruitment and selection process that's conducted by an organization or management. But also, performance appraisal normally offers important information to the human resource department concerning the employees, specifically on issues of performance, strengths and weaknesses of the employees. But also, performance appraisal can determine or can reveal the unique talents of the employees in a particular organization. There are some employees who will maybe perform some extra mile, maybe beyond or above the required standards of the organization. So we can only determine those employees only by conducting an effective performance appraisal in an organization. So here, the benefits or the objectives, objectives and benefits of performance management, performance appraisal are going hand in hand. Normally the objectives automatically for a well attendee will become the benefits of the performance appraisal. So it's just a summary of performance appraisal benefits. Performance appraisal can lead to employee motivation and satisfaction by receiving either positive feedback from the appraisal process or by receiving a negative feedback which will require an employee to improve his or her own performance. But also performance appraisal can recommend or can lead to training and development program, can initiate or can recommend the introduction of training and development programs, which is normally it will tend to be a program of great benefits to an employee. But also performance appraisal is very important in recommending the issues of recruitment and induction in an organization. That is based on the weaknesses which are being identified by the appraisal program or due to some needs of some potentials candidates who we need to recruit it from the labor market. But also, performance appraisal normally facilitates the issues of employee evaluation. We can determine the value of a particular candidate in an organization only through performance appraisal. So we can determine the value of each employee in an organization. So every employee or every individual have got his or her own value in an organization. For example, for those employees who are operating on a contractual basis, you can find that every employee has got his or her own terms of reference, level of salary, only depends on the value of that employee. So how can we determine the value of an employee? Only through performance appraisal. But also performance appraisal can improve the issues of communication, as we discussed earlier, that is where through performance appraisal is where an employee, a new employee, will go on table with his or her supervisor to discuss the issues pertaining to performance of an employee, issues of standards, issues of weaknesses and the strength of an employee, and so forth. So the issue of communication between a supervisor and a supervisee can be handled well in the process of performance appraisal. But also performance appraisal is where it can create and also it can provide the issues of career path. Through evaluating an employee, the organization or the management will be in a position where they can provide the weaknesses or strength of an employee. And it's also to be in a position where it can recommend the relevant training programs to enable an employee to improve his or her performance through the improvement of its knowledge and the skills of that area of specialization. So the career path will be guided by performance appraisal. But also performance appraisal can improve the issues of decision making. So decision making of an organization will be in a good position through the process of performance appraisal because the management will be in a position where they'll be able to understand that maybe we have a deficit of a particular skills, or maybe our employees must attend a particular training. Maybe it's a time for promotion only based on the performance of an employee. So the decision of the management will be always in the right track if they are there to the information which will be freshly through performance appraisal. So, I mean, as I said before, that normally we evaluate the performance of an employee based on the standards which have been established by our management. So, what the meaning of performance standards? You have to know. So, these performance standards is normally those expectations which have been established or which have been pre-established by the management. And these performance standards is where the performance of an employee will be judged against it too. So for instance, if the performance standard the production must reach maybe 50%. So we'll come to evaluate the actual performance or the actual production of an individual employee against the expected production as set by an organizational management. So performance standards simply these are those management expectations in terms of performance of an individual employee or group of employees. Depends only on the nature of their work. So here we have some ways to measure the performance of an employee, to measure the standards, the performance standards of an employee. So some of those techniques, management is normally adhering, or looking or observing the quality. Here in terms of quality, we are looking at the outputs of an employee, how the employee have performed, what he or she has produced in his or her work. So in terms of quality, we'll check the quality of the work, the output, is it relevant to the standards which have been established by the organization or not. But also we are looking in terms of quantity. Quantity here is number. Does the individual employee or group of employees produce the required units of production as demanded by an organization? So first of all, we look at the quality, second look at the quantity. You can produce maybe the right quantity of units, but those units may not maybe adhere to the quality which was established by the management. But also we check on issues of timeliness. You'll check if an employer produced maybe the quality output of the right quantity. But also you have to check are those units are being produced within a pre-established time framework. But also check on issues of effectiveness. Those units which is of the right quality, of the right quantity, produced in the right time, are they cost effective? That is, the production cost must be minimum or low compared to outputs which have been produced by an individual employee or by a group of employees. So now let us now discuss the issues or the methods of appraising employee performance. How are we appraising? How do we conduct the performance appraisal? Which methods or instruments or tools used in the performance appraisal? The first tool is a critical incidence method. So the first method is known as critical incidence method. In the first method, the performance appraisal, it's normally only the managers what he or she ought to do is just only to record those important information from the performance of an employee. In a critical incidence method, we normally record those positive aspects and negative aspects of an employee when he or she was performing the jobs. Simply, in simple way, you can say that we only record those strength aspects and the weakness aspects of an employee for him or her to improve in the future. On the issue of the second method is management by objective, or in an abbreviated way, we call it MBO, that is management by objective. So in this method here, managers and employees are jointly set objectives for the employees, periodically evaluate performance and reward according to the results. So managers, a supervisor and the supervisor come to the table to agree or to establish their objectives, and then continuously they will evaluate those performance, and finally here the employee will be awarded depends on the performance or results he or she brings to an organization. So those rewards can be either positive or negative. If the employee meets the objective of the organization, automatically he or she will be rewarded with a positive rewards. It may be a promotion, salary increment, or a categorization or whatever. But if the employee fails to meet those objectives, automatically he or she will face a negative rewards. So it can be either transfers, or it can be maybe salary cut, it can be demotion, even termination from his or her work contract. Another method is a narrative method or form. This is a very simple method. That is a manager or supervisor. He or she is demanded only to provide the report on the performance of an employee only in an essay form. Yes, it's too much descriptive, just only describe the way an employee has performed his or her duty, focusing on his weaknesses and strengths. Another method is performance standards. Here, the organization set the performance standards which state the. Sorry. The soul can continue with another method of performance appraisal. It's a performance standards. As you said before, in terms of performance standards, these are those expectations of the management. So the management may set the goals or the targets which the employees are ought to meet them. So through the establishment of the performance standards is where the employees, whether they are working maybe individually or in a group, they will be evaluated against those performance standards. Another method is a performance test. A good example for performance tests are those people who are maybe learning maybe how to drive a car. Before they are granted maybe with a driving license, they are demanded to take some sorts of test, actual testing. So even in a management, employees are given some sorts of tests where they will be required to perform actual duties of the management. And their performance will determine whether they are passing or they are failing. If they are passing, then the positive consequences will follow. That is either rewarded with salary increment, maybe promotion, or categorization, and so forth. But if the employee failed that performance test, automatically the negative rewards will follow. That is either demotion, transfer, and so forth. Another method is a checklist method. So this checklist method is like a questionnaire because it simply consists in a number of questions or provisions. It's like it's a form with a number of questions or provisions where the appraiser or a supervisor will allocate the marks against those provisions which will describe the performance of an employee. So they have the marks, they higher the possibility to get a positive reward will be there in the best place. Another method is a rating scale. So rating scale is basically an appraisal instrument that consists of several numerical scales, which represents a job-related performance criteria such as dependability, initiative, outcome, attendance, attitude, cooperation, and so forth. So this rating scale is normally, the higher the scale, the higher the possibility to gain or to acquire the reward from the management will be there, and vice versa. But the issue of checklist method, rating scale, all these are very old methods of appraising an employee. Another method is an assessment centers. These assessment centers are very special for those people who are in the managerial positions. That is, a group of employees or a group of managers will be taken or be assigned to attend maybe some sorts of training in a particular institute. For example, here in Tanzania, those managers are normally tend to go to Musumba University. Go there, take some short courses of management, and then will be assessed by a number of professionals. So those candidates who will pass highly or will score highly in those assessment centers are normal. They will go to acquire those managerial positions. But those who fail, then they will stick with their position. That's non-managerial positions. Another method is 360 feedback. So this one is the current one and modern one. That is an employee or a manager will gain insights from all angles. That is, will be evaluated with all people in your organization. So the 360 degree appraisal method, the one which is normally used in all organizations which want maybe to win a competitive advantage. That is, for example, a manager or a particular employee, 360 degree is like this one. An employee stay there in the center. It will be evaluated by the management, by co-employees, be evaluated by customers, be evaluated by suppliers, be evaluated by the community which is surrounding you, you'll be evaluated by your supervisors. So everyone who or she is very close to the working environment will provide some insights towards you. So if they recommend you negatively, automatically that will reflect the actual performance towards the organizational goals. If they will recommend positively, that means your performance is very promising and you're assisting an organization towards the attainment of the goals set before. So after checking the methods of performance appraisal, let us now discuss the types of appraisals. So basically we have the main one, we have only two types of appraisals. That is a confidential appraisal system and the open performance appraisal system known as OPRAS currently. So starting with the confidential appraisal system, this one is simply it's an older method. It's an older method whereby managers or supervisors were required to point out in a confidential manner all weaknesses, strength of an employee, the way he or she is performing his work without consulting an employee. Previously there was no the issue of setting goals face to face between a supervisor and a supervisee. Simply a supervisor will set the targets without consulting an employee, and you will start to count upon an employee to act upon those targets. So it was very difficult even to suggest maybe a training program for the employee. Only the confidential appraisal systems was too harsh, was very, very active on punishing or rewarding an employee based on their performances. So the annual confidential reports is generated with ratings on. So here below are areas or criteria which were used to conduct the confidential appraisal systems. That is, the system itself was conducted by those supervisors or top-level management towards an employee or middle level or line managers. So they are only focusing on attendance. They'll check your attendance and work. If it was not promising, then the negative punishment or reward will come to you. Again, they'll check your ability on issues of teamwork. Are you able to work as a team, or you normally only like to work as an individual? Also, they'll check on the leadership traits on you if you have any kind of leadership traits. If you have them, you'll be in a good position to be appointed maybe as a line manager or as a head of unit. But if you lack the leadership, that means that's the chance you will lose. Also, they are checking the issue of self-expression, how you can express yourself in front of the customers or in front even of your supervisors and so forth. But also they are checking the issues of initiative, how creative you are. Normally all organization wants to have those employees who are very creative, multi-talented people. So they will observe the issues of initiative. So the more the initiative you have, the more many opportunities of green passes within the organization you will get. Also, they were looking on issues of reasoning ability. How are you reasoning? Are you too much negative toward the organization or not? But also they're checking on issues of technical abilities for those employees who are working in the technical sections. So they were assessing issues of their technicality, how skillful they are. but also the issues of originality. Are you real in the organization, or you're just working but your interest is on those competitors? Also, they are checking the issues of resourcefulness. Are you a liability or an asset in an organization? So this one is a work of all these factors here. They were conducted by the human resource units in those all the organizations. Another method of conducting a performance appraisal was a the open performance review and the appraisal system. So this one is the current one, which is very open in an abbreviated way. It is known as OPRAS. So this is a common way, a common word for those people who are working in both private and the government sectors. So OPRAS is an open formal systematic procedure designed to assist both managing, evaluating, and realizing performance improvement in the intended organizational goals. So here, the goals or objectives are created openly between supervisors and the supervisee. They will discuss those goals which are very attainable and achievable. They will set their standards, and finally, they will work together before they come to evaluate the actual performance of an employee in relation to pre-established goals or objectives of the management of the organization. So through open performance review in the appraisal system is where an organization will be able to determine the actual strengths and actual weaknesses of the employees. So all these factors, all these positive insights of OPRAS, we will discuss it in benefits of OPRAS. So what are the benefits of OPRAS now? So the OPRAS, they will provide a document of employee performance over a specific period of time. So like in a closely appraisal system, in an open appraisal system also, normally OPRAS provide the document of the actual performance of an employee. If your employee is in an organization, they are performing better than the OPRAS scores will determine. And if they are performing poorly, also the OPRAS scores, they will determine. Also, the OPRAS, they provide the structure where managers can meet and discuss performance with an employee. So in an open performance review in the appraisal system, the employees and managers or supervisors and the supervisee meet together and table to discuss on all issues related to performance of an employee. The employee will provide the weakness, the difficulties which they face in the process of performance. But also, the managers will offer their positive recommendations towards the improvement of the performance of an employee. So another importance of OPRAS is that they allow a manager the opportunity to provide the employee with feedback about their performances, which was not there in the closely system. So in an open performance review in the appraisal system, the manager or the supervisor, he or she ought to provide the actual feedback to an employee based on the performance of that individual employee or a group of employees. So the feedback is very important as will motivate the employee to perform more maybe in the coming performance year, or the feedback will assist an employee to improve in some sorts of the areas where he or she needs to improve in order to make his or her performance to be better. But also performance OPRAS normally provide a structured process for an employee, but for expectation, discuss issues with their managers. So through OPRAS is where managers will be able to understand the expectations of the employees in an organization. To attain the good performance, the expectations of the organization and the expectations of the employee must collide or must go hand in hand, must be aligned. So it's very important for management to set the goals which are aligned with the goals of an individual employee, whereby employee must perform their jobs to meet the organization objectives. At the same time, they ought to meet their individual goals. That is either career development, family issues, and so forth. So you as a manager, you are not required to be too much organizational goal oriented, but also you have to think about the goals of your employees. That they perform your job, but also they must be able to meet their individual aspirations. Also, OPRAs provide a structure for thinking through a planning of coming year and developing employees' goals. So through OPRAs, it is very possible for an organization to be in a position where they can plan for the coming performance year. They can plan on all issues relating to performance, relating to manpower, financial aspects, and so forth. So OPRAs is very important. It's a very important tool in the preparation of planning aspects in an organization. But also, OPRAs, they can motivate. It's a motivational tool. By providing the positive feedback or even a negative feedback to an employee, it will offer the room for an employee either to improve on the performance, but also it can be a motivational tool because an employee will be in a position where he can start where he or she ended in the last year. So for the purpose of maintaining the performance of an employee, it's very important to conduct that open performance review in the appraisal system in the organization. So despite of having all those positive insights in an organization, but here in our developing country, Tanzania, OPRAS is a very important tool in enhancing the performance of our employees, particularly in a governmental institution. But the issue of OPRAS in Tanzania is still a challenge. It's facing a lot of challenges. So below here are some sorts of challenges which is normally the process of OPRAS is facing in our organizations, not only in a governmental institution, even in a private institution. So the first one we don't have, if not done right, they can create a negative experience. So if maybe the management failed to conduct OPRAS in a fairness basis, automatically it will lead to a negative experience. For example, if there is an individual in an organization who belongs to theory Y, and then through OPRAS, the supervisors, due to biasness or whatever, he or she fails to evaluate that individual fairly based on his or her performance, automatic will lead to negative experience whereby that individual may decide either to quit the organization and opt to shift it to your competitor. Or it can create even a chaos between a top level management, middle level, and to ground level. So the OPRAS, if not handled well, it can be a source of organizational certifications. But also OPRAS forms are it's a time consuming, whether online or offline. If you want to fill an online OPRAS, automatically you'll find it's very time consuming. But also if you want to fill those OPRAS forms in hard copy again, it will consume a lot of time as it demands you to provide your personal information, all work-related information, targets, goals, and whatever. So OPRAS forms are too long. It's very bothersome and tiresome to fill them. Also, they are based on human assessment and they are subjected to rata errors and biases. So, as long as they involves the human thinking, those managers, they can be somehow biased towards a particular individual. So, sometimes those ratas, biasness and errors, they can cause some sorts of shortcomings, in the process of conducting OPRAS issue. Also, it can be a waste of time if not done appropriately. If the OPRAS system or processing does not carry in a systematic way, it can be a waste of time. But also they can create a very stressful environment for everyone who is involved. Due to pressure of deadlines and so forth, the stress is inevitable to avoid to those supervisors and even to those supervisors. So after discussing the first topic on issues of performance appraisal, let us now shift to employee compensation management. These topics are related as whereby the outcomes of performance appraisal will lead either to positive compensation or negative compensation. And the compensation can be either in monetary terms or non-monetary terms. Starting even with your salary. Salary is one among those compensations, which we'll go to discuss in this subtopic here. So, OPRAS or performance appraisal, it's and it's very, very linked with the concepts of employee compensation management. We normally appraise an employee for the purpose of awarding them. So it can be awarded either positively or negatively, only depends on your performance. So starting with the definitions of terminologies which are found within the topic of employee compensation, first of all, we have to define what the meaning of compensation itself. Compensation is a systematic approach to providing monetary value to employees in exchange for work performed. So anything, whatever thing you provide to an employee due to his or her performance, we call it a compensation. So compensation is anything which comes from the organization or from the management to an employee because he or she has performed a particular work or a particular duty. So the second terminology is a wage. What's the meaning of wage? So this wage is a fixed regular payment, typically paid on a daily or weekly basis, made by an employer to an employee, especially to a manual or unskilled workers. So anything that a management is providing to an employee in a weekly or monthly basis to an employee, whether skilled or unskilled, is known as a wage. Again, another concept, these are common concepts, but only we have to review it for you to be aware of these terminologies. Even in your examinations, maybe you can find a question which demands you to differentiate these terminologies or to write short notes on these terminologies. So another terminology is a salary. There is a big difference between a wage and a salary. Salary is a form of periodic payment from an employer to an employee, which may be specified in an employment contract. So you will find a salary, your net salary, or your gross salary in your employment contract, but you can't find a wage in your employment contract. Whether you're working under the contract of employment or you're working under the contract of employment. Another concept is an incentive. So incentive is something that motivates an individual to perform an action. So these incentives are provided by an employer only for the purpose of motivating an employee to work or to increase some sorts of efforts for the purpose of attaining an organization goals. So these incentives, it can be maybe overtime incentives or any sorts of incentives, any sorts of payments which can make an employee to work harder or to increase some efforts in the process of attaining an organization goals. Also, we have the issues of fringe benefits. So these fringe benefits is normally a form of pay for the performance of a service. If you perform a particular service, then automatically you will be entitled to these fringe benefits. Practice sites is another technology, whereby practice is the payment, profit, or benefits received in addition to a regular wage or salary, especially when due or expected. So practices are the benefits or perks that come along with a job. For example, for those people who are working maybe in private institutions, there are those positions which are entitled maybe with packages of sugar, tea bags, and whatever. So all those financial or non-financial packages which an employee receives in an organization is known as a practice. So here we have some objectives of compensation. Why most of the organization, why all organizations normally tend to provide a compensation to their employees. So the compensation may aim to, there are very many objectives or aims, but only these are just some of them. The first one is just only for the purpose of recruitment and retaining qualified employees. As we know that the meaning of recruitment, the meaning of recruit is only the issue of creating the pool of qualified candidates. This one, through compensation packages, the whole process of recruitment will be easy. When you advertise the vacant position, automatically the number of applicants will be there on time with the right quality. So through compensation, it's very possible for an organization to conduct its process of recruitment easily, but also be in a position where it can retain its qualified employees. Also, compensation normally increase or maintain morale or satisfaction of the workers. So for the purpose of maintaining the morale of working hard among the employees of the organization, it's very important or necessary to have a good compensation packages in place. But also, compensation normally aims to reward and encourage peak performances. So those people who are working in an extraordinary mile, it's very important to offer them with the right package of compensation for them to maintain their performance, but also even to improve more and more. Also, compensation normally tends to achieve internal and external equity. I mean, the meaning of equity is that only an individual employee or a group of employees ought to be paid only depends on the level of their performance. You will be paid according to their performance. So it's a performance-related payment. So compensation packages are there only to bring fairness in the organization, especially on the issues of payments. Also, compensation aims to reduce the issue of turnover and encourage company loyalty. Through compensation packages is where an organization will be able to reduce the number of people who opt to quit the organization due to issues of payments and so forth. So the issue of turnover can be reduced or minimized only through putting in place good compensation packages. Here I'm talking about salaries, wages, overtime payments, promotion packages, and so forth. So compensation packages is the main tool in ensuring that the turnover level is at low degree as much as possible. But also compensation may aim to modify practices of unions, that is through negotiations. So in order to put in place a good relationship between an organization with a particular trade union, it's very important for that organization to offer a reasonable compensation packages to its employees. So the good the compensation package is there, then the better the relationship between an organization and the trade union will be in place. So for an organization to avoid quarrels with those trade unions like TUCTA and so forth, or TASA, it's very important for an organization to create some sorts of policies which promotes better compensation packages, starting the salary to the employees. So let us now discuss the types of compensation. Actually, we have many types of compensation. So these are just some sorts. And this depends on the nature of the organization, nature of the activity, policy of the country in which an organization operates, and so forth. So the first type of compensation is a base pay. Base pay or basic pay is a fixed salary or wage which constitutes the rate for the job. So the base pay is which an employee will find it in his or her employment contract. And the base pay is varied from one country to another, from one organization to another organization. Even within the governmental institutions, the base pays are different. But also another type of compensation is the commissions. By commission, we mean that it's a special form of incentive in which payments to sales representatives are made on the basis of percentages of the sales value they generate. So for those people who belong to the sales department, we find that those people are paid depends on the number of transactions they made, the number of sales they made. I mean, this in terms of percentages, maybe for each item, an individual maybe will receive 5% of the price of that item. So automatically this one will boost the promotion strategies, will boost the issues of selling activities, and finally the turnout for sales department will rise and the employees will be well motivated through commissions. So another type of compensation is overtime pay. So these overtime payments is for those employees who are working over and above 45 hours per week, 9 hours per day as stipulated by the provisions and the sections in the Employment and Labor Relations Act of 2004 as amended in 2017. So overtime payments is a right, and it's a right to all employees, but also it's a duty to all employers to offer it to the employees. Another kind of compensation is bonuses. Made bonuses, profit sharing, merit pay to the employees. So it's a duty of an employer or duty of an organization to offer those bonuses to the employees. Another compensation is stock options. There are some organizations which offer an opportunity to the employees to buy some shares maybe in the organization just only to motivate them and for them to make them feel as part and parcel of that organization. As long as the employees have been granted an opportunity to get or to own some sorts of shares, even it's very minimal, but they own some sorts of shares in that organization automatically. Psychologically, they feel they own the whole organization. By feeling so, automatically they will feel that they are part and parcel of that organization, and it will be a great opportunity for them to act and perform well, only to ensure that the organizations keep sort of increasing their profits and it turn out to be good. Another kind of compensation is a travel, meal, house allowance. So all those kinds of allowances which are offered by the organization can be used can be termed as sorts or groups of compensation which are offered by the organization. Another sorts of compensation is benefits. Those benefits including dental, maybe insurances, medical insurance, vacations, leaves, retirement benefits, taxes. There are some organizations which offer some sorts of waiver on issues relating to taxes and so there are a lot of compensations, but these are some of them. So for more details, you can visit your lecture notes in a knowledge area 3 via your Moodle accounts. So let us now discuss the components of compensation. By components, we mean that those elements which create or which a particular compensation to look as it is. So you can find that some organizations have got a good compensation packages compared to others. All those based on the components which used to create that particular compensation policy. So the first component is a job description. The job itself identifies or determines this kind of compensation package to be offered to a particular employee. By job description, this is the document which describes or explains a particular job in details. So it will describe or to explain the issues of difficulties, skills and knowledge which is required, experiences which will be required, technical know-how of that job. So all those difficulties which will be presented by a job description document will determine the kind of salary, kind of wage, kind of bonuses and commissions to be offered at that job to an employee. Another component is job analysis. Through job analysis, as we discussed in knowledge area 2 previously, this one helps an organization or help the management to get the real information, real data concerning job. So through the information which will be gained through job analysis will determine the kind of compensation packages to be offered to the employees and all other people, those stakeholders who are involved in the performance of the jobs. So job analysis is a very important element or component in formulating even the policies of compensation in a particular organization. Another element it is job evaluation. The word itself, job evaluation, that is they evaluate the job to determine the actual value of the job. Each job, every job has got its own value. There are those main jobs which have been performed by the organization, but also there are those supporting jobs or works in an organization. For example, in an institution like Open University of Tanzania, the main jobs or works of this organization are only teaching, research, and the community services. So those are the main works which are normally will be accompanied with a good and more improved compensation packages. Other duties which are not a major activity in the organization automatic will be accompanied with the less compensation packages compared to those works which I have mentioned below. So the nature of the job will determine the kind of compensation which an employee or individual employee will get or will benefit from the working organization. Another kind of compensation is pay structures. So normally in all organizations, whether government or non-government organizations, normally the issue of pay structure is of great value. The pay structures are varied from one organization to another, even within the governmental institutions. For example, pay structures for those people who are working in a higher learning institution is quite different from those people who are working maybe in the local government or in the ministerial authorities. So pay structures are varied. That means they reflect even the nature of the work which are performed by those people who are found in those organizations. So for much details information pertaining to pay structures, types of pay structures, also you have to visit your Moodle account to read or to review on the lecture notes. Also another compensation component is a salary survey. So many organizations tend to create their compensation policy, tend to create their compensation packages only by comparing with the competitors. What does the competitors offer to their employees? For example, the IT, the information technician, those ITs who are found in the Open University will be compared, will be compensated with relevant to those ITs from other universities here in Tanzania. So if maybe the compensation packages here in Open University are very good, automatically most of the ITs would like to come here to work in the Open University. That's only because of the compensation package which are present here. So salary survey, we are just trying to check or to search how our competitors are offering to the people with a particular skills. So simply it depends with the labor market. What the labor market offers to the people with particular skills. Then the compensation packages of a particular organization must reflect the actual compensation which is provided by the labor market. So let us now discuss this in summary, the meaning of pay structures. As we know that this is one among the components of the compensation packages. A pay structure is normally a collection of pay grades, levels, and grades, linking related jobs with a hierarchy of series, which provides a framework for the implementation of reward strategies and policies within an organization. So a pay structure may be designed to achieve several objectives. So what the aim of having a pay structure in an organization? First, just only to align the rewards strategy with the business strategy. So the reward strategy must go hand in hand with the business strategy. Say if the business strategy maybe aims to provide a great, a higher level of profit, automatically the rewards also must reflect that aim of the organization. Also to bring order and clarity on the organization and its employees in managing pay increases and career progression. But also a pay structure normally is there to help to ensure that fairness and lawfulness. That is fairness and lawfulness in terms of during compensation processes, during payments. That's only to ensure that there is equity within the organization. So what are rationales for pay structures? Why do we have pay structures? What are the aims of the pay structures? So pay structures should be, first of all, must be appropriate to the characteristics and needs of the organization employees. But also a pay structure must facilitate the management of relativities and the achievement of equity, fairness, and consistency in managing employee roles. But also must be capable, should be capable of adapting to pressures arising from market rate changes and skills shortages. But also a pay structure must facilitate operational flexibility and continuous development. Also, a pay structure must provide scope as required for rewarding performance and increases in skills and competence. Clarify rewarding and career opportunities must be constructed logically and clearly so that the basis upon which types of pay structures. We have three normal types of pay structure. The first one is a grade pay structure, job family pay structures, and pay spine structure. By a grade pay structure, here simply the jobs will be computed in the particular grade. So all payments will depend on the grades of your work. The second one is a job family structure. Here the jobs will be put into groups of families All synonymous jobs will be in the same groups. All those works with a similar characteristics will be settled into a particular group, and then the payments or the level of compensation will be upon the groups of the jobs. Only depends on the weight, technicalities, and the skills which will be required to perform those jobs. Pay spans structure consists of a series of incremental points extending from lowest to the highest paid jobs covered by the structure. So these structures is normally providing a room for some source of increments. It can be either annual increment or maybe increments, only depends on the policies of the particular organization. So in all governmental institutions, there is some, the structures of the salaries, structures of the employees who are working in a particular governmental institution, normally there is a room for annual increment, even in Tanzania. Factors influencing pay structures. So these are some factors which are normally influencing pay structures in any working organization, whether governmental or non-governmental institution. So we have internal factors and external factors. Let us now discuss first internal factors. The first internal factor is ability to pay. Ability to pay. The ability to pay, here we are talking about the employer or the organization. If the organization is in a good position to provide a good compensation packages, to offer those better salaries, then automatically the pay structures of that organization will reflect the ability of that organization. So the higher the greater the ability, automatically the higher the pay levels, and vice versa. Another factor is an employee. So in terms of employee, the pay structure will be influenced by the employee, him or herself. So employees will analyze factors like performance of that employee. When the payment is upon performance of an employee, we are talking about performance-related payments. So for those employees who are paid, it only depends on their performances. Automatically, their performance will determine the level of their payments. Experience. For those employees who are paid, only depends on their experience on that organization, on that work per se. Automatically, their experiences will determine the level of payments. But also the issue of seniority. How senior you are, even in academic positions. The payments for tutorial assistant is quite different to payments to assistant lecturer. The same to lecturer, senior lecturer, associate professor, up to full professor. So seniority of an individual automatically determine the level of payment in that organization. But also the issue of potential. For those employees who are working under contracts, potentiality of an individual will influence the level of payments. We know that there are those people with great potentials, those people which the organization can't be ready to let them go, especially they can't let them go to their competitors. So to ensure that issue won't happen, the organization must place higher payments levels to those people with positive potentials towards the attainment of the organization goals. But also another issue which fall under employee, here we're talking another issue, internal factors which influence the pay structures in the organization is job requirement. Here in job requirements, here we are talking about those difficulties in the performance of job, those duties which are found in the job, the skills required, experiences required, knowledge required, technical know-how required to perform that job will normally determine the payments level in that organization. But also there is another part of job evaluation. The value of that job. What the value of that job is that a core function in that organization, or is just a supporting function in that organization? If the work is a core function, automatically the payments level will be high compared to those works which are just a supportive works. For example, at Muhimbili National Hospital, I'm sure the payments for those specialist doctors, or even for those MDs, for those general doctors, will be at the high level compared to those people who are working there maybe as a human resource officers, or who are working as maybe accountants, who are working as maybe as clerical staffs and so forth. So job evaluation depends on the importance of that work in that particular organization. Is that a core function or is it just a supportive function? The last internal factor is organization strategy. So the organization strategy will determine the kind of payments levels to be offered to the employees. Let us now discuss the external factors. One among the external factors is that of issue of economy. Economy here, we are talking about inflation and so forth. So if the economy of the organization is very stable, automatic, that the said organization will be in a good position to provide high-level payments to their employees. The issue of the issue of inflation, this one is regional-wise. In the society, if there is a high level of inflation, automatically even the organization will not be in a good position to pay a high amount of compensation or to pay good salaries to his employees. Also, there are issues of technological changes. Technological changes normally will affect the payments levels to the organization. There are those works formerly which was known as the core functions of the organization. For example, those works which are those maybe cashier works in the financial institutions. Currently, it's no longer applicable because there are some introductions of those automated tellering machines, ATM. So ATMs have taken the jobs of some people. So even the payments for those jobs currently is no longer there. It's not of great importance to those financial institutions because technology have taken its chances or places. Other issues in academic institutions automatically know that academic institutions normally will offer those qualified candidates. So any payments I'm sure will reflect the quality or qualification of an individual. So the qualification of an individual will normally reflect the level of payments. Also laws and regulations, even here in Tanzania, there are some regulations pertaining to minimum payment level, both skilled and unskilled labor. Even to those domestic servants, there are some stipulations in our constitution, in our bylaws, which guide the amount of payments to be effected to those people. So the issue of payment level normally can be also determined by laws and regulations of a particular country. Also, labor market. Labor market can speak by itself, the amount of the level of payments to be effected to the people. So to remain in a competitive market, automatically the organization will opt to adhere to provisions of the labor market. After discussing those factors, let us now discuss the concept of job evaluation. Is one among the elements of compensation package. So job evaluation, as I discussed earlier, that it's a component which used to assign value to a particular job. It evaluates the difficulties, technicalities, experience, and knowledge which are required to perform a particular job. So job evaluation is normally assign and establish the value of a job to a working organization. So here are some purposes of job evaluation. First of all, it's adjusting the salary structure to reflect the value of the job. Also, it's to offer training opportunities to ensure that those people who are performing a particular job must adhere to the skills and knowledge which are required. But also job evaluation, it can be there just only to ensure that those managerial candidates have the required skills and knowledge to perform that job in an organization. As a managerial candidate, talent through evaluation, you can determine the talents which are present in an organization, but also the talents which are demanded by an organization to attain the goals required. But also, through job evaluation, it's a way to reduce pay grievances by reducing the scope and providing an agreed upon means of resolving the dispute. So, after evaluating the jobs, we will be in a position where we will be able to understand the value of each job and where the organization can pay the relevant payments only depends on the weight and value of the job. But also, job evaluation may assist maybe in issues of incentive for employees to strive for higher level jobs. So job evaluation can rank those jobs. from the lower level jobs into the up to the higher level jobs. But also job evaluation can be a source of information for wage negotiations. So the job evaluation processes will determine the way wage negotiations tokens can be taken. That is, the payments must reflect the value of the job. Also, job evaluation is the basis for a simpler or more rational wage structure. So wage structures also are normally coordinated from the process of job evaluation. Also, agreed upon means of classifying new or changed jobs. It means of comparing jobs and pay rates with those of other organizations. Also, job evaluation normally it can be used as a basis for individual performance measurements. And finally, it can be a source of information pertaining to a particular job. That is, can offer actual information pertaining to the value of the jobs. So let us now just summarize the job evaluation methods. We have only 4 basic methods of job evaluation. Only the first one is job ranking. Here we just only ranking the jobs based on the value it was assigned by the evaluation processes. So job ranking, we are ranking from the first to the least. That is, the method ranks the job in an organization from highest to the lowest. So it is the simplest of the job evaluation methods and the easiest to explain. The second method is job classification. Just only you classify the works in their families. So those works with the similar characteristics must be assigned into similar groups. So the classification is only based on the duties, similarities of the duties, and all difficulties which may be found in the performance of that job. Another one is a factor comparison method. Here we just only checking on the factors. Which factors? The value of the job, maybe the number of duties and tasks found in that job. So this one is among the method of classifying the jobs. Another factor is a point factor method. So the point factor method or point plan involves rating each job on several comparisonable factors and adding the scores on each factor to obtain a point for a job. So let us now discuss the importance of job evaluation in compensation. So first one, if you evaluate the job, automatically will establish a salary range for a new position, determine the level of salary. But also to creating a position hierarchy in the organization. So after determining the levels of jobs, if they are varying value, automatic the hierarchy will be there from the lowest job up to the highest job. Also to be a basis for salary increments. So these annual increments will be upon the weight of the job. Value of the job will determine the level of increment an individual will be there too. Also, it will reclassify the position to a higher or lower grade with or without a change in salary of the position included. But also, it's confirming that positions are properly classified. So the weight of the job will determine the position. So let us now conclude by discussing factors which are affecting compensation. So the first factor is organizational provisions. These are policies of the organization that determine the issues of compensation. But also government regulations. Here it's laws and regulations will determine the level of compensation. Equity considerations, that's fairness. If you want to be fair, then you have to compensate fairly your people. Union pressures, these are trade unions as we discussed earlier. Job analysis and evaluation report also determine the level of compensation to the employees. Cost of living, this is inflation. You will determine the level of compensation. Organization positions, also the higher the position, the higher the compensation level. Productivity of workers also will determine the level of compensation. So, thank you. As today we're discussing 2 subtopics, that is performance appraisal and employee compensation management. So these topics are linked between them. I mean, there is a big link between performance appraisal and employee compensation. Appraisal will create or will produce a reasonable grounds for an employee to be compensated. So if an employee meets the standards established by the management in terms of performance, automatic will be compensated fairly, positive, and vice versa. So these are the end of the discussion for knowledge area 3. Let us meet in the next time for the discussions of knowledge area 4. Thank you.